Okay, just waiting for that to catch up. Still loading.
Good day. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, I don't know why it's not moving. I guess it's recording. I'll just go ahead. So, like I said, let me get the book because there's definitely going to be some homework this time. Like I said, the current events is showing us what the United States is doing, what the people that call themselves our leadership are doing. And in my personal opinion, they are totally failing the entire country. It has nothing to do with a particular person as they try to make it out and try to blame one person for everything that's wrong. It has nothing to do with political affiliation because they keep throwing a word back and forth, Democrat, Republic, Democrat, Republic. But what I want to bring you aware of is the entire leadership in this country is out to lunch. They have decided to turn their backs on the citizens of this country. They have decided to sell out their positions and their connections. They have decided to torment and basically use us as a piggy bank. And this is important because, like I said, when you become a banker and you own your device and you have it in crypto or digital currency and you put it away on your device, they no longer have access to it. This is why it's extremely important that you really, really understand how to move digitals, how to move digital currency, which is really going to be easier than crypto because it's, you know, basic numbers. Where crypto, you have to purchase something, there's fees to buy it. You want 100, you got to add the fees to it to get an actual 100 to the location or to the device that you're moving it to. So it's a little bit more involved, but not that big of a deal once you learn, depending on what currency you're purchasing. Once you learn what the fees are, you pretty much are okay with it. And you'll add it in automatically when you use or move certain numbers. One of my pet peeves about moving money anytime, I don't care if it's just from one account to the next, use even numbers. Leave the odd numbers for later on if you need change or whatever, but always move even numbers. There's a reason for that. Number one, it's easier to manage because you know you moved a solid unit, not a fraction of a unit. Like if you move $3,000, that's a fraction of two or four. So try to move even numbers. Um, but I need you all proficient on these devices. All of you are fairly caught up and well on the phone. Pretty much all of the young people we have on here right now are kind of connected to the whole process anyway, and that's awesome. It's easier to adjust your thought pattern when you already know what's going on. Some are not, haven't used cryptos yet, haven't used a wallet, haven't used a crypto debit card or a storage unit. And really all you need to know is the address. So if you are going to use any of the 4 items that are required to be connected to a Promise Delivered and or Team Royal eventually, those 4 items will suffice you being able to move your funds and have them where you need them, where you can use them. So the big point here is, like I was saying at the very front of the call, the United States is at war with its own people. Now, no one else will tell you that. I know what war is, and because I was in 2 of them. So I know what it is, I know the tactics of it, and I know the outcome. Okay? The outcome of war is death, either by starvation or actual bullets. So I'm taking you down a different path this morning because you have to be aware of what is looming as we speak, like right now. You have 2 countries that are nuclear equipped, okay? You have another country that is like a pocketbook or a piggy bank for the elite, okay? Now I'm going to explain that to you so that you understand what's actually happening. And it's right in front of our faces, but for some reason, they have created this scenario where everybody's thinking about Democrat or Republican, the orange man or the ice cream man. Everybody's mind is caught up in that, okay? Except mine, and now not yours. So when you bring light to something, you have to understand what it is. So let's look at it. Finances is at the root of everything and anything that happens, period. Period. So when finance is there, you just follow the money and watch the people. So we know for a fact that Ukraine is a piggy bank. Hundreds, now listen to me, this is the important part. Hundreds of billions of dollars have been sent to that country. I'll let that sink in. Hundreds of billions. I think it's somewhere around the neighborhood of 350 to 400 billion dollars sent in either products, food, medical, uh, armament, all types of weaponry, and loads of other things. Insurance, luxury money so that they can go buy things. Why is so much money being sent to one place? Think about it. Monies have already been found to be coming back to the United States into specific people's accounts from that region. So they send it over. Oh, we're helping them out. We're helping them out. Goes over there, it lands, and then they send it right back to specific individuals. That's finance. That's black market. It's right in your face. And as a matter of fact, they're using taxpayers' money. Now that you know that, chew on that for a minute. Hundreds of billions of dollars sent to a country that doesn't even speak English. Not that it matters, but it's still a point that I'm getting at. And I'll get there in a minute.
Mr. Lewis, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe that this is a form of money laundering in a way? Because, my mom and I were just talking about this, and she believes that it is.
Absolutely. That's what I just explained. When you send money to a country for, oh, help, 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 but in return, lower, out of the radar, they send it back to specific people. That's laundering. 1,000%. 1,000%. This is how evil people get money to keep doing evil things. They can't literally just come to your house and take it from you. They have to say, oh, we're helping out over here. But they already have a contract with these people. Hey, look, when I send you $500 million, you send 350 million back. That's 3/4 of what was sent. $500 million is 500 million. They send back 350 or 340 million. They only got a little piece, but the rest came right back. When it comes back like that, it goes back into pockets, not to accounts, not to the monetary system of that country. It doesn't come back to you and I. They took it from us through taxing, sent it away, filtered it, and got it right back in their own pockets. %1,000 laundering. These people are extremely evil. And why the rest of the country has not awakened as of yet, I have no idea. But like I said, if you don't know better and you get bad information, then you think bad. My objective is to give you good information so that you can balance it out, because you're going to see bad stuff every day. It's on the news, it's on the radio, it's on the cell phones. If you watch YouTube, the commercials jump in there. The actual actions of the states and whatnot that we live in, raising taxes, raising rent, raising this, raising the cost of food. So you have to protect what you get. And this is why we discuss crypto debit cards. We discuss crypto cold storage units. So you become your own bank and your funds are not whiffled off to another country for someone to get it back through the back door. And all the while, you're steady working. This is why I have a problem with telling you guys to go get a job, because I know I'm lying to you, not lying, but sending you off to the same foolishness that we have all gone through, the ones on this call right now that are over 21. You've all already gone through that. You see the outcome of it. I want better for you. So So instead of getting into the rat race where you put your funds to work for someone else, I want you to put them to work for you. I want you to be able to protect yours. Okay, not have it sent off to another country to play games, play with lives, kill people, do very horrible things. Because see, you can't do these horrible things if you don't have the money to do it. All right, so trying to stay on point here, I want you to realize two things. One, that every day you're going to be, bombarded with a bunch of foolery. Two, we have to combat that by opening your eyes, opening your ears, and opening your mouth. Do not be afraid to speak. And this is what's under attack right now. I don't know if you've noticed it, but your freedom of speech is under attack. They already taken everything else. They've taken away your rights. You don't have any rights. You think you do, but you don't. They've already taken those away. They've taken away your ability to build the American dream. They've hidden it behind numbers they know you can attain. Credit, at least not without the proper knowledge, which you are receiving, so that you should not have that problem. But that's the tactic that they have put up. If you don't have good credit, you can't do this. If you don't have good credit, you can't have that. Right? How do you get good credit? Well, you got to work. Come to our field and pick what we tell you to pick. And if you do a good enough job, we may give you a piece of credit, not a credit, a piece. And we'll give you a piece every year, provided you give us half of your money. Because if you think about it, a paycheck, remember I said, does not belong to you. You earn it, but it doesn't belong to you. A lot of people have a hard time hearing what I'm saying right now. Yes, you go to work. Yes, you punch in. Yes, you are making $12 an hour. Yes, you work 40 hours. Yes, at the end of the week, they write a piece of paper, which is an IOU. It's not a paycheck. It's an IOU. I owe you this amount of money because I said you can, that's the part. I said you can have $12.50 an hour. When you get that IOU, you look at it. At the top, it's going to have your name. It's going to have the hours that you work. You work 40 hours. And then you look down and you start seeing this deduction, that deduction. And then there's a net total. Net total means someone removed some of what you had earned. A lot of people say, oh, that's taxes. You have to pay that. Actually, you don't, but that's an argument that needs to be had by more than one or two people. There is actually no law that states you have to pay tax. If you can find it, show it to me, because I've been looking for 58 years. It doesn't exist. But if someone tells you the same thing every day, every week, everywhere you go, any job you take, they say you have to pay taxes. You say, okay, sign right here. When you sign that contract, you hand away the rights. Like I said, you have no rights. They've taken them away. You just haven't seen it, or you're not aware that what happened. It's called the big switch. So you look at that paycheck and you see all these deductions. Okay, now there's a net pay. That's what you get to have. Now, that's called taxation. Tax, right? You get the net pay. You go to the bank, you put it in the bank, right? Put it in the bank, yeah. Or if you are in the city, which I used to do that, go to the check cashing store. Before I had a bank, I would go to the liquor store. You got to buy something. That's your first tax. They're not just going to cash it for you. You have to buy something in the store. So you have to give me some money to get yours. Right? You see that tax right there? A lot of people, oh, I'll just buy a stick of gum. You had to buy something. You had to give out of that same check to get the money. All right? Now you got the money. You had to buy something stupid. Or most of them, most people, not stupid. They would go in there and buy chips and junk. Nothing healthy is in a liquor store. Nothing. But it's the convenience of being able to cash a check because you don't have a checking account or a bank account. That's how I started out, because I knew nothing about money. That's why I do this class. And what I'm telling you is things that I have done. This is not some hypothetical. This is actual truth, my truth. I'm sharing it with you. So you buy something out of the store, you get in the car, and you head off either to the house, home, or to the grocery store, because now you got to, buy food, or to the light company and pay a bill, to wherever. But watch what happens. You already had to buy something at the liquor store, right? So that's more out of the check, steadily reducing. Depending on which direction you go after you leave the liquor store, it's going to reduce greatly. So let's just say you go to the grocery store, right? When you go to the grocery store, you get your groceries, put them in the cart, take it up to the counter. Now, mind you, at the liquor store, that pop, candy, or whatever it was, watch what happens in that transaction. The pop, the candy bar, whatever it was that you bought had a price, right? Let's say the thing was $1.50. But then, when you paid $1.50, what's at the bottom of that $1.50? Tax. At one time, food and things like that were not taxed, but they snuck it in, and no one said a thing. No one said a word. Oh, it's okay. They have to tax for the candy, the chocolate, and all this. So you paid a tax on a product. So the tax that you paid is another tax on the same money that was taxed before you got it. That's twice. Go to the grocery store, get your groceries, put everything in the cart, go to the counter, pay for your food. At the bottom of that receipt, tax. Okay, the food is taxed. It's the same money out of the same check that was taxed once, twice, now the third time. So they are literally stealing money at every transaction you do. And I call it stealing because you're not supposed to tax the same money more than once. But again,
Are you listening?
they put it in.
Are you?
And we didn't say a word. So the same money that you worked for 40 hours is taxed how many times? Once when you get it, once when you cash it, If you go to a liquor store, if you go to the bank, it's not so much. Third time when you buy something, and guess what? The fourth time at the end of the year. Because you have to pay taxes. Again, they took it when you got the check. Why do you have to pay it at the end of the year? Because we have been conditioned to think that is okay. It's not. Money foundation is like this. If you take $1 and the tax on it is 25 cents, and it is taxed 4 times, what do you have at the end of the taxation? This is the simple, cut truth. I'll say it again. And this is for my adults too, because you didn't even realize it was happening like this. The tax, we're going to call it, is 25 cents. Your pay is $2. If you're taxed 4 times on your $2, how much did you actually earn? $1. Because they secretly took the other one through taxation. And when they increase that taxation, they move in on the second $1. They already took one. They took that. Then they increased the taxes, increased the price of things. Now they're encroaching on the second $1. So actually you only earn 50 cents. I can't make a half a finger. So you only actually earn 50 cents right now. That's where you are right now. Out of the $2 pay that you're getting, you actually receive 50 cents. Now you're supposed to make a living paying your obligations, paying whatever else you're doing off of 50 cents. I'll let that sit there for a minute so that you can actually visualize taking 50 cents to pay $5. How do you do it? You don't. That is called slow death by taxation. Slow death. That's right. I used the hardest word possible so that you get it. Slow death by taxation. If I make it so that you can't eat, drink, have a place to sleep, get to and from work, then all of that stops and you become a burden, and now I can get rid of you. Now I'm going to say something that many of you may not have paid attention to because you're not really focused in. But at one time, there was a lot of homeless people under the bridges, on the corners, here and there. Do you see them anymore? To see, once you become homeless, once you become below typical people, you're not noticed. Once you become a negative or a burden on a city, people will look away from you just because the position you're in. So they don't want to notice you. So when you're plucked away, good riddance. That was somebody's mother. That was somebody's sister. Somebody's brother. Where are they now? See, these are the things that people don't see, but I pay very close attention to. Very close. So a financial foundation is going to give you a way to stand on your own. And that's what I'm after. To make sure all of you can stand on your own in the next year. Just that close. I want you to be able to stand on your own. And what does that mean? Number one, having a financial foundation. It is imperative that you understand that process. And what is it? What is a financial foundation? Knowing money, knowing what is real money and what's not. There is a difference. Having the skill set to move said monies into devices and out of devices that you own. Having the understanding that you have to save, you have to put away, you have to make sure that you are taking care of you first and then help somebody. And if you've ever been on a plane, the stewardess is going to tell you to put your air mask on if there's a problem. Put your mask on first so you can help somebody. Most people think like this: oh, well, I see that person's in trouble. Let me go run over there and help them. The car's on fire. You have no gloves. You have on nothing to protect yourself. You reach in to grab a person or to help somebody, and you catch on fire. Because I don't know, you might have been at the gas tank or the gas station filling gas, and you got some on you, didn't notice it. You run up on an accident and you see it, and you run over to help, not knowing that you have gas on you. You reach in and get them, both of you catch on fire. What did you do? You didn't help yourself first. If you'd have seen the gas or knew you was at a gas station, you would not want to walk up on an open flame because the fumes get in the clothing. It gets in your hair. Won't get in mine because I don't have any, but you get my point. You have to take care of you first. So how do you take care of you first? With 50 cents, that half finger. With 50 cents, you got to put 25 cents away, out of sight of everyone. So now you got 25 cents to work with. Because you can't get the taxes because they take that from you. That's theft. So you have to work with what you have left, 50 cents. 25 of it gets put away. That's like that $3.50 you guys should be still putting away. Just because I haven't said it, you should still be doing it. I'm going to ask at the end of this session what you have saved up. And will it match what I saved up? Look at you scrambling in your head. So my point here is, having that foundation, you understand that you have to protect you first. That is not being selfish. That is being prepared for anything and everything. Okay, so going on to the next point that I wanted to make here is the news. I think I started out with this, is telling you this or that. But what you have to understand is there's two major countries, Israel and Iran, that are butting heads. Now, the present administration in this country has done a massive amount of illegal stuff. Massive. There's a lot of records out there. They got rid of most of them with the 9/11. That was a cover-up. That was not some people coming over here flying a plane into a building like they told you it was. The truth is, they had to get rid of evidence. And they had to make it look like something else, so that they could divert your attention to another country of people while it was all done right here. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Was it? I would implore someone to look at the towers and tell me what was at the basement level of those towers. What records were kept in that building? When you get that answer, you'll know why it was burnt to the ground with everyone in it, to make it a dramatic situation, so that you could convert people to think, oh, well, these people were in the plane, they stole the plane and drove it into the big. You have to be able to see beyond the actions of people. That's why I always say, slow down. Look at everything, not just the one thing that happened. And that's foundation for life. When you get into a situation, assess the entire situation before you make a judgment or a thought, unless it's something you.
Mr. Lewis got disconnected. He'll be back on shortly.
Now you see what I'm talking about. Now you see for yourself. They're always listening. And when you talk about things that irritate them or make them nervous, they shut off what you have to say. You just witnessed it yourself. Shut it down. So now you see what I was just talking about. They're after freedom of speech. They don't want you to have a conversation. They don't want you to use your mind. It's unfortunate, but you've seen for yourself what just happened. They wanted to disrupt that conversation. It's too heavy. It's too much. That was my warning. Have to watch and see what's happening. Like I was just saying before they cut it off, look at the whole picture before you make a decision. But look at the whole picture. So basically, having a financial foundation is going to give you the ability to not be in that select group. You should have always be aware of where your funds are, what you're doing with them, and what you plan to do with them. Now, on a better, higher note, I'm just going to switch the subject just to not create any more of an issue. But the higher note is this. Once you are proficient on using your 4 devices, and if you don't have all 4 just yet, you will. I want you to stick to the rule of, like I said, a paycheck does not belong to you. So you have to use it for what it is. Whatever that paycheck is just a device or resources to spend. Okay, because like I said, it's all taxed up anyway. But make sure that when you go and get this employment, whatever it is for you, know that it is just an employment. It doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do with it and how well you protect it and manage it. That's where the difference is. When you start to receive from a Promise Delivered Team Royal, those are not paychecks. Well, one isn't. One is royalties. Okay? Those funds are for your foundation. Those resources are what create your foundation. Use them accordingly. As you increase and get more and more resource coming your direction, do the 50-50 rule, which is 50% of what it is used for obligations, what have you, whatever you need to take care of, things like your burial. Like I said the other night, I don't know if you guys were on there, but I'll say it for you as a young people, my babies. Take $20 or whatever and start making sure you have the necessary resources to send you home. funeral expenses. It's not morbid, it's a fact. And a lot of people don't go into that with the right understanding. And, you know, like I said, the foundation, having a good foundation gives you the ability to stand strong in whatever it is. It is inevitable that we leave here. Okay, so no one is guaranteed to stay. Everybody got to go home. So I'm sure you have been around other families, other family members, your friends, and they might talk about what happened with a funeral, or you just know about how when people pass on, the whole family is, you know, number one, upset, but then the bills start hitting for the preparation of the funeral, the whatever medical was going on with you before you left. Those bills just don't disappear. They move on to the next people or next person. And then they're being looked at, hey, you know, Mr. Lewis, you know he had this and that, and he left a bill, so you're gonna pay it? It happens. So as you get older and more free financially, put more there. But start it now. Start it now so that you take care of your own exit and your own preparation and not leave things on the family. It's already hard enough to lose you. Okay? Homework. There's a lot. Financial foundation. Town meeting. I didn't go over town meeting because that was the next subject, but like I said, they cut it off. Town meetings are vital, and this is what a lot of people have stopped going to. By law, every city in every state has to have town meeting where they discuss certain things that are going on in the city, certain laws that they are looking to pass to govern you and me. They discuss things like, you know, what programs are going to be available for young ladies, what programs are going to be available for young men. They discuss an array of things. It's not a long meeting, but they have to do it. Here's where they got over. They stop announcing it on purpose, because if you don't know about it, you don't know that it's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, they can go in the room, they'll say meeting, whatever is open, they open the meeting, they'll read out these laws and stuff that's going on. They have to be read so they can say they read them. All right? The room is empty, but they're reading it like they're reading it to people who came to the meeting. They read it out. Any objections? Of course, if you're not there and you don't like what was just read, you can't say I object. Table it for further conversation. But if you're not there, you don't raise your hand, so they say no objections, passed. Now that new thing that they just talked about is governing you. It might say that you can't, I know this is extreme, you can't drink out of a water faucet that's designated for somebody else. But if you weren't at the meeting to say I object, and you drink out of that water faucet, you're breaking the law that you had no idea existed. Town meetings are vital for the town or city that you live in, that you know what they're doing. They have to do it by law. They have to read it. Whether you're there or not, get involved with town meeting. Get involved with what's going on in your city and state. Don't be I'll just sit back and watch and see what happens. We have already done that. My group, us, the adults on this call. I won't say everybody, but I know I'm guilty. My first 30, 35 years, I've never gone to a town meeting. When I turned 40, I started going to town meetings, and I found out a whole lot of stuff that was happening right in my own city, Detroit, that I didn't think was happening. Then I moved and came here. Same thing. I would be the only one in the room. At least they announce it here. But people are like this. Oh, I'm going to have meatloaf and mashed potatoes tonight. Could care less about that meeting. But guess who's there every meeting? Do I vote on some of the things that they are trying to put down here? Yes. And all it takes is one person. But if you don't do it, you don't know about it, you don't participate, and then you get walked on, walked over, kicked off to the side because you didn't say yes or no. Voting. So you have three things: financial foundation, town meetings, and voting. I think, I don't want to say too much getting into that because they'll shut it off again. But what's coming up is, I do believe, going to be the last one, because we're going to go into NESARA, and that negates all of that foolishness. That's why they don't want it to happen. They're fighting it. NESARA, go ahead and look that up. All right, so that's 4 things. I'm trying to keep it between 3 and 4 things. Those are your 4 items for next week. Financials.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Wills, but could you repeat the last two again?
The last 2 is voting
See?
and NESARA.
Sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome. Financial foundation is your responsibility. Okay? If you take heed to what you learned here and put it to action, you should have no problem. You should have no problems because you're going to be private with that. It's not going to be all over the place. You're going to have a really zeroed in mindset to do this, this, and this, so that my outcome is that. If you only do one thing, the rest of it is off balance. Foundation, the idea and concept of a foundation is to give sturdiness across a wide range so that you have something to stand on. A foundation like this is no good. You sure can't fill a bathtub on the other end of the house if your foundation is like this. It's going to be all over the floor. You have to be level. And that means you have to do all of the aspects and processes, earn the resources, bring the resources to you, split the resources and do what you need to do. Purchase things, save things, put things in perspective in the resource that is supposed to hold on to. Hold on to your resource without any, important word here, any outside affiliation. So that means no one can look into your bank. No one can see what's on your balance. No one can use it to practice with new tellers. No one can use it to see what kind of interest is being accrued over a certain period of time. Training, looking at your account. That can't happen when you own it. So that foundation is really heavy, and it's one of my, pet peeves for everybody, not just you guys, but the adults too. Everybody's held at the same standards. That's what I do. I was taught by the military how to put money away. Because when you're the captain's cook, you have to have a certain amount in an account so that when you hit port, you can go purchase the things that are required to sustain the captain for 3 months, 2 months. And if you don't know how to purchase things, you can't buy and make sure that he has what he needs when we're out to sea. So I got shoved into business at an early age. Number one, just being involved with people who did things like that. And then two, the military. Learn how to purchase. That's where purchase order understanding came from. How to communicate and get a perspective of a certain amount of items to last a certain amount of days. Shopping across the world, really, because every port you go in, you're dealing with somebody brand new. It's not the same Walmart, Retners, KFC, McDonald's. It's not the same. So you have to be versatile, flexible, and available to understand where you're at any given time of what you have to spend. And when you're good at it, you're good at it. You're a valuable asset. All right, so I'm not gonna hold you. I think, yeah, we're at 12. Any questions?
Mr. Lewis, I have a quick question. Out of curiosity, what's the age limit for these town meeting attendees? Like, can the youngest be children, or does it start at like when we get to a voting age per se?
Well, no, not really voting age. You can go, I think the earliest is 16 because you can get licensed at 16. So at that point, you are available to listen and, put an opinion. So I would gather it would be 16.
Oh, that's interesting. I always thought that um it was always limited to adults going to town meetings. I've never heard of a kid being present at one.
No, you can go, and if you have your stuff together, you can speak too. You're part of the city. You're part of the community, and this is what you'll see. That mindset or that thought would keep you out of there, or anybody going forward think the same thing. Well, I don't have to go because I'm not old enough to say something. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. If you have a driver's license in your pocket, you are a contributing portion of that community. And even younger, if you just go and listen, hear conversation about what's going on so that you have an understanding of what's going on in your city. You may not be able to get to the mic at 10, but listen. Be around conversations that make a difference in your life. So that when you do get 16, you can recall back being at those meetings, seeing what the adults said, seeing what the board had to say about, it could be potholes, it could be fire hydrants, it could be anything. Okay, town meetings pretty much cover a lot of stuff that's going on in the city or town that they are managing. If you don't like what they're talking about, that's your opportunity to say, well, I'd like to table it for conversation. That means that they have to satisfy you with what they're trying to pass. What sense does it make? But if you don't question them, if you don't let them know that you're paying attention and you're hearing what they're saying, and it's not matching with what is going on outside, excuse me, I'd like to table that for conversation. They have to stop and have a conversation with you about whatever that item is. And at that point, everybody else is listening. Just like I say on here all the time, ask a question, because somebody else may not want to ask it because they're either timid or embarrassed, whatever. You have to grow up, get out of that. And I tell my adults the same thing. They don't want to talk because they don't want to feel like they're stupid. Ask the question. That's how you get information. So you're not stupid, which is not real. Stupidity is that does not want to learn. Okay, so yeah, 16, because you have driver's license, whatever the city, state, or whatever level is that you can get a license, that's the age you can attend a town meeting. And I do believe it's 16 across the board.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Absolutely.
I do have another question, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead.
Just piggybacking off of what you said about freedom of speech. What do you think about Candace Owens?
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. She's telling the truth. Now, there's a good question. Like I was saying at the front of the call, but like I said, you see what they did. The things that I was hitting on, they didn't want me to share, but I'll try to skirt around it. There's a lot going on right now. And just like the town meeting, if we don't have a conversation, you get walked on. She is willing to have that conversation, and she puts the truth out there. A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people like to continue listening to lies and fabrication because it's been suiting them. Now, these individuals in there now are hurting everybody, including those who thought that it's okay to lie to the people. And it's not, like I said, a political affiliation. It is a ignorance that has been bred into this country. She is one of those crusaders that is not afraid to talk about it, and will, as you've seen. But in the same respect, you have to understand that when you do what Candace is doing, you put a target. And it's sad to even say that, but you have to be careful how you do things. If you plan to be a crusader, which she is, you have to get some good armor. Some really good armor. And I believe she has that in place, but she's phenomenal.
Thank
Be
you.
more like her.
Um,
Hold on,
Mr.
Mr. Lewis, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, so, how do you know when and where a town meeting is being held?
That would be at the city hall, or if there's a city paper that's usually put out, they have to announce any meetings. It could be county meeting, it could be city meeting, it could be state meetings. But town hall meetings are usually right in the community. And it's, if there's a circulator like the little magazines you get at the grocery store at the door, they're usually put in there. They're definitely put in the newspaper for the city. You just have to look in meetings and, city government, and you can find it online. If you go to town hall meetings in Jacksonville, Florida, it'll tell you. It'll give you a schedule and everything. You just have to put city, state, town hall meetings schedule, and it should pop up. You can actually do that on the phone.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lewis, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Or I have a question. It's two questions actually. What was to the bottom of the Twin Towers, and where can I find that information?
That is why they cut it off earlier. You have to go online and look it up. Just put in the name of the towers and what was kept there. I'm trying not to say too much so they don't cut it off again. Now they're listening to me. But it's out there. You just have to look.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
You're welcome. I'd like to keep the channel, if you know what I mean. All right, any other questions? No other questions?